Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the Sweetwater Minute. This time out, special guest, Fab Dupont is here.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here. Glad to have you here.
My pleasure.
We were just talking. I think you've been our guest on the Sweetwater Minute more than anyone else. This is like your 5th time here.
It's an honor.
You're going to be taking over for me.
Yeah, I'm buying Fort Wayne.
I'll sit here and you can interview me.
That sounds good. How's life?
Very good. Thank you. So you're here today on behalf of Dangerous.
Yep.
And you brought in a pretty smoking rig here.
Yeah, it's fun.
And everything from I/O to processing to summing to two-bus and monitor control is all right here in this very compact little rig. But the main thing you were focusing on was using the Dangerous Liaison to interface with all of this gear. Tell us what you have going on here.
So the idea here is it's a little bit the same as my rig at the studio when I mix records through. The Dangerous Liaison is a box that not a lot of people understand because there's only one of them and they're the only one making it. It's basically a command central. It's like you can centralize your whole studio around it for your artboard. So the way I use it at the studio and the way it's set up here is basically the Liaison is an insert box. If you're allergic to cables like I am, I don't like to patch and stuff like that.
Right.
And also I like a nice solid connection as opposed to just something that's changed all the time. What you could do is you can connect your artboard to the insert loops here. So for example, this is my interface I'm using in Apollo. I'm mixing in Pro Tools. I'm mixing in the box with plugins.
Okay.
Then I'm stemming my mix out because I'm using analog summing. So I have 16 channels out of the Apollo going into my 2-bus.
Okay.
The output of the 2-bus is my summed finished mix. That is fed to the input of the Liaison.
Okay.
So what that allows me to do is it allows me to insert all this stuff onto my mix by just pressing a button. For example, if you see here, the Shadow Hill Vandergraaf is number 4. So if I want to, let's clear this. If I want to insert the Vandergraaf on my whole mix, all I have to do is hit number 4, and now my whole mix is going through the Vandergraaf.
Okay.
If the Vandergraaf, that's something that I like, but I need to compensate by adding some EQs, I can hit 3, and now my Harrison EQs are in line. If I'm confused about the sound and I want to try before and after, I can hit the flip button, and now the Vandergraaf is before the EQs. I haven't touched the cable.
Right, right.
It's a nice.
Yeah.
So all this happens like this, and you can just store this. So if you dig it, you can listen like this, or you can clear it and listen without processing and just record it automatically. It's really quite fantastic.
So it instantly lets you rewire your rig without having to move a single cable.
Correct.
And so can you only run one stereo input into
No,
this?
you have 2 chains.
Okay.
So you have bus A and bus B. That's why you have 2 sets of
Okay.
buttons, and they're completely independent. Obviously, you can't use, they haven't invented gear duplication yet, so you can't use the same piece of gear on both buses.
Okay.
But for example, in this case, I could use, say I have a drum stem that I feel needs to be crushed by something, right? So what I could do is I could run the drum stem through bus A
All right.
as an insert, and I'd say, okay, I'm going to run them through the 2 Moog filters, hit 1, and now the Moog filters are on my drum stem, while the Harrison and the Shadow Hill are on my full mix, and all happens together.
Right.
It's pretty nice. The other thing that's pretty fantastic is it has a built-in parallel processing loop. So for example, if you want to do New York style compression, like you want to crush something and then tuck it back under, like we do, and not only in New York, we can just say, okay, I'm going to use the Vandergraaf for compression, put it on stun, kill it completely, and it's going to sort of do that. And then you say, okay, well, that's not the sound I want for my record. I'm going to put it in the parallel processing loop. Now my signal is clean, untouched, and I can tuck in the crushed signal under it. It's all done in the analog domain. There's no phase issue. It's just totally tight and very practical. And because it's so easy to use and it's so simple, such a simple layout, then you're actually tempted to try stuff.
Right.
So I've done a lot of experimentation. So for example, it came to my mind, it's like, what would the whole mix sound like through a pair of Moog ladder filters, which, I mean, I'm not going to go and rewire stuff, but if it's just this, I'll try it. It actually sounds pretty nice. Yeah, it's like crunchy, nice.
Right.
Very warm and fuzzy. So it's a really great way for you to maximize all your artboard without having to rewire or to think about wirings at all. You just put a little bit of sticker on your artboard, and it's not just for 500 series. You know, the backs here, the back EQ, which is a great EQ by these guys, is on insert 5.
Right.
And you also have a guest panel here. So if somebody comes in with a piece of gear or you have a transient piece of gear, you can just plug it into the front and poof, it's in your rig.
Bring it in and out.
You don't have
right.
to go in the back and connect. It's very elegant.
Right.
And also, since it's all relays, and since it's made by Dangerous, it's completely, absolutely transparent. There's no sound to it. It's better than cables. It'll never die.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
So conceptually then, this is similar to the patch bays that we all know and love using cables, but you don't have the problems.
Right. It's
you
no
don't
in hate, actually. No in hate.
No in hate. We don't accidentally reverse left and right.
Yep.
You don't have cables going bad. Now, which
Yep.
one is intermittent when you're
Yep.
plugging here? The jacks don't go bad. So it's all self-contained here, and so much flexibility.
Yep.
For really being able to route things. Now, you mentioned the parallel processing loop. I see there are 3 of those.
Yes, because you could have any of these 2, 4, and 6 be in the parallel processing loop. So, for example, you could EQ your crush signal too and put that in parallel. Or you could do crazy things like, it doesn't have to be compression. I mean, I could, if I wanted to put a number 1, which are my Moogs here, in the parallel compression, all I have to do is flip 1, 2, and hit here, and now it's parallel compression.
Ah, okay.
Aha. So you can have any insert in parallel processing. And the thing that's great, say, for example, these distort very nicely if you push them. They actually have a thing called drive. And so you distort, and you use distortion, you cross the distortion, now you can give a little bit of edge to your mix, and you can do all that just by click, click, click. And storing presets is pretty nice. So this is my preset here, this is another preset. And you can check between 2 different settings.
Right.
And this is relevant for tracking too. For example, here in this 500 rack, I have 2 mic pre's. I could feed the output of this mic pre's to bus A, and now I can use all this processing while I'm tracking.
Just switch it in and out.
Yeah.
Try different EQs, try different compressors.
Exactly. So, and then if you like it, you can make a preset of your exact setting that you like.
Right.
And you can even use parallel processing or parallel compression while you track, which is, if you know how to do it, it's a great way to not have to touch your sound after you get everything you want right from the beginning. If you have proper monitoring, good monitor section, and your speakers don't lie to you, then you can really, with this, do all your processing very quickly on the way in. It's very nice.
Right, right.
It's quite lovely.
So you could have the bus A set up with your 2 mic preamps and still have bus B set up with your stereo out here.
Exactly.
And be doing basically what you're doing here.
This is exactly what I'm doing here. And the other thing that's nice is, it takes a second to think about it, but these are 2 stereo buses, right? Bus A and bus B are both stereo, but they're really dual mono buses if you want them to be. If you notice here in this rack, this is 2 of the same unit, this is 2 of the same unit, and this is 2 of the same unit. So when I'm tracking, like this morning, I had a vocal through the API 512, and I had a guitar as a DI through the B1. Right?
Okay.
So I was able to process the vocal here, here, and here, and the guitar here, here, and here.
So really treat it as 2 different signal paths.
So now I have a full dual mono tracking setup, and at the same time, I was using a stereo mixing setup all at once.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Very nice.
Yeah.
And with 4 presets, you can instantly recall it.
Yeah, you can recall your
really
stuff.
Is slick.
Yeah, it's nice. And the AB capability is great. Say, you have, say I'm being greedy, happens, and I'm using a lot of processing, right?
Right.
And I can store this preset. So now I want to know what it sounded like without. If I don't have something like this, I have to bypass here, bypass here, bypass here, and everything. Here I just go, boom. And then I'm flat, and then I hit this, and I'm back in processing.
Right.
And that is worth the price of admission by itself.
Yeah.
Because the AB is the key. Everybody fools themselves by putting a lot of processing on their stuff.
Right.
But if you level match and you listen before and after, that's when the truth comes out. And most of the time you do this, and you're like, ew, yeah, right, let's start again.
Right.
So I really like this box. It's become a very integral part of my system. It's basically sits across my 2 mix at all times.
Right, right. I can think of other applications for this as well. You could use this for switching keyboard gear. You could use this if you had interface boxes. You could use it with guitar pedals.
Yep.
Bring it in and out. All kinds of different applications actually for routing signals.
Absolutely. Originally, I believe that the original impetus for designing this was mastering. They have the Dangerous Master is 3 insert loops. If you put this in the second insert loop, which has sum indifference, now you're talking about extra 6 sum indifference capable loops on one side, and maybe you put this one on 3, and now you have an extra 6 insert loops. So it makes it for an unbelievably powerful mastering section. Just the master and the liaison is the most powerful mastering console there is right now.
Sure.
And of course, it's made by these guys, so it's really tight.
Right. So all kinds of applications. It really is a very versatile box that can do a lot for just about any rig.
Yep.
I can see where actually you can take it out live and use it to switch gear in and out for processing and trying things out.
That's a good idea. I didn't think of that because I don't get out of the studio much, so my experience there is limited. But that's true. I mean, basically, it is a completely transparent relay-based switcher box that's indestructible. So it could totally work live.
Yeah, anywhere you need to bring gear in and out.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Fab, thanks for coming in and sharing this with us, share your knowledge with us and how you're using this. Very cool.
My pleasure.
Great piece of gear and great to see you as always.
Have a good day.
Thanks, my friend.
Cheers.
I'm Mitch Gallagher. Thanks for joining me for the Sweetwater Minute.